So there has been this recent push that I'm seeing online quite a bit regarding many people from Europe and Canada wanting to switch to alternative softwares that are non-American, essentially. And I wanted to make a short video about it to explain, is this even really possible? Because I was under the same scenario a couple of years ago when there was this entire genocide happening in Palestine. So back then, people were boycotting Starbucks and various, McDonald's and so on. For me, that was like a personal decision for people, sure, but to me, it didn't really mean much because I knew the economy that's funding the war is not McDonald's and Starbucks. It's the tech industry within America that would fund the whole thing. So for me, I decided I would do this experiment where I would try to pick and choose various non-American alternatives to our daily tech use. And I noticed that it was quite difficult, with certain areas and very easy in certain other areas. So I'll share what I basically concluded with my research that I did a couple of years ago. But essentially, let's start with hardware, right? As far as your phones are concerned, you will essentially have to leave the iPhone, right? Because that's American hardware and American software. So iPhone is pretty much not the thing you want to get. But then you're just left with, one option, that's Android. But Android itself is also, it's owned by Google, right? Google Play services and everything. So how does one, go around that? Well, the options are kind of limited. The best option you could have is, well, it used to exist, was BlackBerry, but it doesn't exist anymore. But if you want to choose something else, then you have Asian phone brands. Most common are the Chinese ones, Xiaomi, Huawei, Redmi, and so on. However, if you're kind of living in a place like Canada or something, you don't really have access to many of these, phone brands directly. And if you do, you have limited, customer supports or, support available in your area and so on. So then you're just left with Samsung, really. Now is Samsung completely, disconnected from American tech? Of course not. The hardware will probably be Qualcomm regardless. The chips most of the time, and not to mention other components within the phone. But it's the closest you can get, So I would say for phones, if you really just want to boycott American products, then a Galaxy phone could work really well. And it's a good phone, even if you didn't want to boycott. Usually they just make really decent phones these days, and the software is manageable, and it's pretty good in my opinion. One UI has been overall much better than what Samsung used to do before. And even before all of this, I used to use Samsung for many years, and so do many people. So you won't be left out. As far as now with your other tech, actually don't know what other, sequence I'll go in, but let's just go with social media, or not social media, messaging service. That's a good option. For messaging services, you are probably using iMessage or WhatsApp. And yeah, that doesn't work either because both of them, WhatsApp's owned by Meta, which is in US, and iMessages, Apple, which is also US. So what you can do is then what I searched in the most, reliable way. I mean, I can say stuff like WeChat and so on, which, yeah, it's possible, but most of us aren't really familiar with that. It's not exactly designed for, international use. It's mainly Chinese to begin with, like Chinese use case. It's a decent app, to be fair. I've used it, especially, during my university days, because a lot of Chinese students use it. It's a pretty good app, don't get me wrong. But for your average user, I would say if you really want to choose something, probably would be Telegram. Now that's a bit strange because it's registered in British Virgin Islands, if I'm not mistaken, but its headquarters are in Dubai. So that's not America. So it did meet the requirements, what I was setting to myself. And it's pretty well known. In fact, I would say it's better than WhatsApp and so on. Many people switched to Telegram a long time ago when, Facebook Meta bought WhatsApp. So I would recommend to switch to that. I mean, Signal and all these other companies they keep mentioning, but those are still American, right? So if you want for your personal use to switch to something, I would say Telegram. It's been great. The voice quality is great. The video calls were great. Messaging is great. And it works well both on iOS, Android, desktop, you name it. So yeah, if you want a realistic choice, and I'm not saying like, these companies are not based in America and based in lands that are completely angelic or something. But if you just don't want American, for sure, Telegram's a great option, Then you have, what else was there? Browsers, yes. Now, this was interesting because I used to use Chrome, then I switched to Microsoft Edge because it's built in and ran on Chromium, and the battery life was much better than Chrome. But as we know, Edge is owned by Microsoft, so that was a thing. And then I found this company that is a little, company in comparison in Norway, I believe. It's called Vivaldi. And the thing is, it does run on Chromium, don't get me wrong. So it's not like completely disconnect, but it is it's a company set in Norway, And I have used it for 2 years now, personally, on desktop and on my Android phone and tablet, on my Samsung phone and tablet. And it's been great, I'll be honest with you. The switch from Edge to Vivaldi was pretty smooth, and I have a good time using it. Generally, I would say people should give it a try, and you won't regret it. It's pretty good. The features are like useful. They're not just there for fun. You have many options to how you can customize it for yourself, and it has a pretty good app, not app, what's the word, extension experience too. I think you can just use Chrome extensions because it's running Chromium, so you won't really struggle from that. But it's from Norway and it's pretty good. I don't I mean, I'm sure there are other alternatives too. I'm just mentioning the stuff that I personally did and I enjoy, and for me it has been pretty decent so far. What else did I switch to? Yep, completely unsubscribed from OneDrive. Microsoft Office, of course, Microsoft is pretty much the backbone of American economy in terms of, what it is. Windows, well, I'll get to Windows a little later, but let's get to Microsoft. Now, 365. Office, as they call it. I don't know, they keep changing the names. Now it's called Copilot 365. It's kind of weird. But get hard disks. Get your personal hard disk and keep a couple of them and just back it up. Back your stuff up over there. Definitely. This is the best alternatives you can have, is to store it on your own. And the Office Suite alternatives, you have some. You have an open source called LibreOffice, but I'm not sure exactly where they're also based on. Are they also American? I'm not sure. I know it's open source, but I couldn't really find like its location. I guess because it's open source, but I want to make sure that's not American, right? And for me, I found this suite called WPS Office, which is basically, I believe it is Chinese, essentially. But you get the entire Office suite for free. Yeah, you don't have to pay for it. And it's really good. I've used it for my personal stuff. Their Excel alternative is pretty good. Their Word document is pretty good. Even their image browsing is fairly decent. And I would recommend that. You know, if you want to get away from Office and you want to switch to a non-American Office that's pretty comprehensive and you know it's on its own, then WPS Office is pretty good. That's what I switched to, and it has its own Android suite. I'm sure it's on iOS as well. So you're not really going to miss out on much with, you know, WPS Office. It's pretty good, not gonna lie. And LibreOffice, you'll have to check. I really couldn't tell where it's located. Maybe because it's open source, but I'm sure you can search it up and find your answer to it. Then we have, what else did I switch to? Gamepass, I unsubscribed because many reasons. So I mean, if you can unsubscribe from a service that's in America, that would help a lot. You know, Netflix and Spotify, all these things. If you can, of course. For me, unsubscribing from Game Pass is a no-brainer, so I unsubscribed. And yeah, there's that. As far as emails go, I'm not sure exactly. I'm gonna search it right now while this guy is driving his buggy. But there's something called Proton Mail, you know, and I did use it, and it was, for me, I thought it was pretty good. Let me just check online. Then American, but essentially it's the alternative to Google. It's the alternative to Outlook and so on. Yeah, it's not American. It's European. Proton. So I used Proton Mail for a while as well. It has really good privacy, you know, services from what I could tell. One sec. They provide you with an entire G Suite as well that's online, you know, like they have their own drive, Proton Drive, their own Proton Mail, Proton. I believe they have Docs as well, but it's like Google Docs alternative, not Word alternative. That's why I didn't mention it, because I think you need an internet connection for that. It doesn't work offline. So Proton Mail is pretty good. The only caveat that you have is the free service is like, as far as I remember, the last time I checked was like 1 GB, which is very less, honestly. Like that's like almost nothing, you know, for many of us. However, they do have an entire paid system, you know, and you could switch over to Proton and subscribe to them, and you get a lot of, you know, what's it called, a lot of storage for you to work with. So Proton is a great alternative to the G Suite overall. And yeah, so that covers that. Then we had AI. Yeah, of course. I'm not really a big fan of AI, but you know, of course, some of us just want to use it for research, perhaps. It is a tool like Google at the end of the day. So I'll get to Google as well. But just in terms of AIs, I mean, you guys are probably using GPT, very comprehensive. That's it has a lot of features. This is why it's the most popular. You got Gemini, you got Claude, you got so many things. However, I'm pretty sure you guys know something called Deepseek released like a while ago, and that is Chinese. Essentially, it's based in China, and it is most definitely a very easy alternative to GPT. Don't get me wrong, it is really good. Um, and I know I'm probably glazing it in a little too much here, but no, I'm not kidding. Like, DeepSeek has been. It's supposed to be worse in performance to GPT and so on, but I don't know. Like, it hallucinates a lot less. It's the best thing I can say for it in my personal use. GPT is faster. Like, you get answers a lot quicker, and Gemini as well. You get answers almost instantly. But DeepSeek, like, yeah, it's a couple of seconds slower. But if you want to switch to an AI that's not, an LLM that's not American, DeepSeek is pretty much a no-brainer. I've heard a friend of mine mention QuenChat. That's also a Chinese brand. I haven't used it personally. I have it installed, but I just never launched it, so I can't speak for it if it's good, as good as DeepSeek. But personal use, DeepSeek, I've been using it. I also sometimes will use GPT, but for personal data stuff, especially, you don't want, because that's what they make the most money on. These AI companies is your personal data. If you want to include something that's a little bit of more of your personal data, then DeepSeek is your way to go. That's not an American AI. I enjoyed it. I still use it, and it's my primary AI. If I had to choose an AI that's my main AI, it's DeepSeek, definitely. Well, what else is there? Looking through my phone right now. Yeah, okay, so for to-do list, that's another small thing. I'm sure you all use Google Tasks or Microsoft To Do. I switched to this app. It's pretty good. It's a very comprehensive to-do list app. You can kind of do a bit of project management on it too. Like, they've updated it quite a bit. It's pretty powerful. Staken is based in Europe. I'm not sure where. Maybe Sweden. I guess I'll have to double check. I don't think it's American last time I checked, but it's pretty good. It's not owned by Google, Microsoft, or Apple or anything like that. If you have a Samsung phone, you do have a local based um, to-do list app, like Samsung Notes or Reminders app. But if you want something that's on desktop as well and your phone, the Todoist app, great. It has been amazing for me, and I would recommend that app anyway. Like, it's actually really good. And I used to use Microsoft To Do because it's a Palestine thing, genocide. I was like, I want to get away from Microsoft as much as possible, when possible, or American companies. So I migrated from Microsoft To Do to Todoist, and it's been great. It's been great overall. So yeah, you guys can check that out. It's pretty good. Oh, what else did I change? Let me see. For social media, I'll get to that as well. I mean, those are like topics I want to kind of talk in the same time, because they kind of have the same conclusion. And you guys probably know what conclusion it is. But looking through my apps, yeah, that's kind of it. Well, I guess for video calling, yeah, this does work. Zoom, it's not American. I think it's Chinese as well. So, and it's popular, it's integrated within many businesses. So you'd have no problem using it. No, it is an American company. So, yeah, I'll take it back. There are some connections to China apparently, but yeah, sorry. Zoom is not Chinese. It is technically American. But if you use Telegram, you can do video calling on that. So you know what? You can use that, no problem. What else is there? Yeah, that's kind of it really that I switched to. These were pretty big changes for me because I was really integrated to the American alternatives for many years, ever since I was a kid. So switching over was not that simple to start for me, but I took the jump and it worked really well. It has worked for me for years, and now I will discuss the issues that come with certain parts. The biggest one was social media. Now Telegram is a social media as well, if you think about it. You can join channels and you get news of sports, world events, and so on. It works really well. But you want a social media like for tweets and so on, you know what I'm talking about. There's not really many options. I believe Mastodon is the closest you can get to that's European and not American, but honestly, I don't like Mastodon. It's whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I never understood it. It's just not my thing. I don't get the server stuff. I mean, I'm a tech guy and I just don't like Mastodon as the whole interface. I didn't even know it was not American and I just assumed it was, but I just did not like it. But from what I heard, it's not American, it's European. So you guys could try it out. It could work. For me, I don't really want to browse on social media that much. So I do just use Telegram for news. And it works well because it's Telegram, What else is there? Uh, yeah, operating software. Now this is a big problem because we're all on Windows. And if you're not on Windows, you probably have a Chromebook or a Mac. Either way, you're on an American software. That's kind of the issue. Now, some of you will mention Linux. That's true, Linux, Ubuntu, OpenSUSE, and Mint, all these names, all these distros. They're amazing, I'm pretty sure. That's not the point. The main problem is that, I mean, switching to Linux is not easy. I know, I've tried it a few times. And for personal use, maybe you can, but our work is so integrated with, Windows and so on that sometimes it's a bit difficult. I guess you could set up a virtual machine within Linux and just use that. That's the best thing I could think about is if you have Linux and you set up a virtual Windows machine within it. That's probably the best way to do it. However, I did not do that, so I can't really explain it. I'm still on Windows, to be honest with you, and I would love to switch to an alternative. I saw Huawei has made their own Harmony OS on their laptops. Man, that is something that's truly not American, But I don't think you can get that outside of China. But if we can, hey, you know what? That's a really good choice. But at the moment, it's not. So I do use Windows. Sadly, I know. I would switch to Linux if I could, but a lot of our games do not run on Linux. And if they could, I'd probably switch to it. Speaking of games, by the way, I should mention that if you have a console and you're using an Xbox, that's American. You should probably switch to PlayStation because that's Japanese. And that's a no-brainer, but just to mention. And I'm sure in Europe, I think most people by default are PlayStation gamers to begin with, so you're not really missing out much. Let me drink some water. Yeah, so Gamepass was the only good part of Xbox, but they increased the price of that like crazy. on the console, so it's best if you just stick to PlayStation if you're using a console. It's Japanese and not American, and you know what? Enjoy that. What other techs are there? Yeah, Intel, Nvidia, AMD. These three companies, the so-called Trinity of Tech, you know. I mean, tech hardware. It's pretty hard to, you know, break into that, find an alternative. There's just not many alternatives at all. I don't think there's any alternatives anywhere for these companies. So you have to stick to one of them. And that is a problem. This is where I hit a really hard roadblock. I could not find any alternative for that. Maybe you guys can, and let me know in the comments. But for me, yeah, that was the issue. Big issue. The hardware for PCs and graphic cards, it has got to be American. Like, it's just not American. The only closest thing I found was a laptop distributor which does run Intel, AMD, Nvidia, but it is a non-American laptop brand. It's called Lenovo. It's really good. I've only heard good stuff about it. And it's Chinese, so you could use that. If you want to use a Lenovo, great. It's non-American, it's Chinese, it's headquartered in China. So use Lenovo if you want to switch away from American tech. This is the closest you can get to using a normal day-to-day PC that you can integrate into your work and your personal life without crazy changes and it being completely alien. It's just Lenovo, you know, it's your typical laptop. It's just non-American. So there you go. That's a good, you know, alternative. Thank God for Lenovo. I've personally not used Lenovo, but I've had family members who have, and I've only heard good stuff about it from them. So they have good customer care service. That's what I remember personally. One of my cousins, he had to get it fixed, and their serviceman, I remember, came home and he fixed it for him, and it was free of charge because I think it was within the warranty, and it was pretty good. So you know what? I personally have not used Lenovo because I don't use laptops. I will use my own pre-built PC, but my own pre-built PC was kind of a hybrid PC. I'll explain it later. But if I had to choose a laptop, Lenovo would be a good option. You know, definitely up there, especially for gaming. It is a good gaming, you know, company anyways. So the laptops, I mean. What else for cars? I mean, of course, you guys know Ford, Teslas, dude. Okay, Teslas. You guys, don't buy Teslas. Seriously, you want to hurt like American auto industry? Then you gotta stop using Teslas because this thing is like definitely an issue. Switch to BYD if you can, if you're in Europe. I think you have BYD in Europe, and I believe it's also coming to Canada soon, which is awesome news. Yeah, based on recent news that they're importing EVs from China at I think only 20% tariffs, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. So it's not 100% tariffs anymore, thank God. So for those of you who drive, I mean, switch to BYD, switch to Japanese brands. They're awesome. Japanese cars run for a long time. Everyone knows that. So buy a Toyota or something. But if you really want an EV, really good EV, BYD, it's a no-brainer. Alternative to Tesla. But don't buy a Tesla. Seriously. If you want to take this route, this is a pretty important part of it. And what else is there? Let me think. Games wise, look, I mean, I'm playing an EA game right now, but Here's the thing with EA, just keep in mind, EA is technically an American company, right? And I'm playing Battlefield right now, as you can see, Battlefield 6. However, those of you who were following the news may know that a couple years ago, this was bought out by the Saudis. Now, there is a partial, not ownership, but partial overview by Jared Kushner. So that's to keep in mind. If those of you know, just to keep it simple, American guy from American politics. So that's one thing. But overall, technically it's a Saudi company. It's owned by Saudi. So if you want to choose between COD and Battlefield, guess what? I mean, probably switch to Battlefield. I know Arc Raiders is something. I haven't played Arc Raiders, but I would love to play Arc Raiders. I believe it's Swedish. And that's also a great alternative, right? So that's one thing. But if you want gaming, like, generic, yeah, it's not. It's a Swedish company. So Arc Raiders is the European. If you want to completely avoid it, play Arc Raiders. But Arc Raiders is an extraction shooter. It's not first person. So I know not everyone can just play Arc Raiders, right? I mean, I had that issue too, so I might switch to it one day. I don't know, I just feel like it. But Battlefield now, EA Games, is Saudi, so that's not American. There you go. Although you do have a slight American overview over it, it's really not American. So another shooter, first person, you can find that is FPS that's not American is Delta Force. I believe is Chinese as well. Pretty good overall. I like Delta Force. I played it a lot when it first came out to be a Battlefield alternative because I didn't like 2042, to be honest with you. And COD is just COD. So I guess switch to Battlefield or EA games in general if you want to. But to keep it simple, I digress. I mean, that's just more entertainment. For serious tech, it's kind of it really, I'm thinking about it. What else is there? Yeah, so that's a restriction is Windows, Mac, alternatives. Then you got, what's it called? Social media alternatives. It's very hard. And hardware alternatives, hardware chips, your AMDs, your NVIDIAs, stuff. It's very tough. So there's that, keep in mind. And yeah, let me know if you guys, this has been my personal experience for a long time, switching to non-American brands for tech, which is like the main part about the American economy. And it's very hard to get alternatives for these, but if you look hard enough, you can. And this is basically my rundown: messaging, Telegram, software for your browsing, Vivaldi. Then you got your phones, switch to Samsung, messaging, Telegram. I don't know if I just mentioned that, but you also have for vehicles, it's very simple. I don't personally, drive, so if I could, I mean, it would be Japanese cars, definitely. That's realistic, And you also have, what else did I say? Yeah, that's pretty much it. And of course, reminder app, Todoist, and so on. We should also use Samsung, overall. Samsung vanilla, what's it called? Default apps. You could just use those pre-built ones. And yeah, that's overall, my personal experience. If you guys have better alternatives, yeah, of course, WPS Office, I forgot to mention again, and of course Proton. Proton's been pretty good. So switch to all of these, and do let me know if you have any other alternatives in mind. Definitely. This is not latest research of mine. Like I said, I did this a couple of years ago when I started it because of the whole Palestinian genocide funded by America. And now Europeans and Canadians are, well, they're kind of fearing that for themselves, and they want to boycott certain American tech companies. And I'm sure there are more latest, alternatives that you can use as replacements. Again, Deepseek, again, great AI alternative. But if there are other ones too, you post them down below. And yeah, I think I'll cut my video here. I'll, stop rambling. And I wish you guys all good luck in trying to find alternatives to non-American brands. It's pretty tough, but it can happen. So yeah, thanks for listening, and catch you guys later. Peace.